Buru boye boshishe olori awo ianifa ile dingbe ile do temple. Again, Ekuoshe Gungun Batala Obaluaye and Iyami. May all the divinities support us, and may we avoid contention with the Iyami. So we all look for balance, right? So we know that Ifa tells us about EY having balanced character, and we understand about balance in some of these more earthly ways, right? Balance with work, balance with spouse, balance with children, right? It's not just something, right, that it's not just an emotion, or it's not just a feeling, right? It's an action, especially when it comes to our spiritual well-being. So like anything else, you know, it requires effort, it requires discipline and things like that, but we can see how that applies and what one of the ways that E5 discusses it, right? We can see it with the Odu Osalogbe. Osa on the right and Ogbe on the left. It's clear that Ifa says that we must have balance between the physical and the spiritual, right? We must do those deeds. We must perform certain acts. We must take certain actions, right? Certain things have to be our focus. And Osalogbe, the verse is long, so we will try to get through it. Osalogbe, if I need Osalogbe,
Osalogbe.
if I declare that it's early in the morning,
If I declare that it's early in the morning,
that one ties the E-Day beads.
that one ties the EA beads,
I chorus that one adorns.
I chorus that one adorns.
The brass ornaments too.
The brass
the
ornament.
brass
Ornaments
too.
too.
Arumla asks if Jebutu
Arumala
Rumula
asks
asks if Djibouti
takes care of the Ifa room
takes care of the E5 room
room
or not.
or not.
Or not.
Or not.
not.
He responded that Jebutu
He
He
responds.
responded that
Djibouti
took care of the Ifa room.
took care of the E5 room.
room.
Arumla declared that if Jebutu
Or Rumila.
Arumala
Rumula
declared
declared
that
that if
Djibouti
Djibouti
takes care of the Ifa room,
takes care of the E5 room,
room,
he will be blessed
he would be
he will be
blessed
blessed
with a living substance
with a living
with a living
substance
substance
in her womb.
in her
in
womb.
her womb.
Ashe.
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 So it's clear, right, that there's something that must be done. The Odu Ifa is not negating the other things that one has to do. Ifa saying something specific. Now I know some of y'all be like, Baba, I don't want no baby. Baba, them days is over. We have to look at the esoteric nature of it. If there's something that we want to accomplish, there's one other thing that we need to do to make sure that it manifests. Perpetuate our Ifa. Remember the covenant. Like, oh yeah, I love Ifa. Oh, I want to learn more about Ifa. The only thing that we really need to know is to be disciplined, to offer above, and the different levels of the sacrifice that we make. This is another thing that it talks about in Ogbeola. It talks about it in Ogbe Rukusa, right? It talks about it in Oyekugunda. It talks about these different things and these different levels where we must meet Ifa. It talks about it in Ogbeyono as well. That we need to be paying attention to our destiny. We need to be consulting our destiny. So it's a thing, right, that I think is a big confusion about is one's Ori. Right? How do we listen to one's Ori? How do we listen to our Ori? Right? Because some people say that our Ori is our consciousness. Some people say it's our subconscious. Some say it's our spiritual body. Some say it's our higher self. It's all those things and more. When we go to the E5 reading, right? When we have a Dafa, when we cast the E5 offer abode, it is with one's Ori, one's destined path, or one's destined plan, or one's destined path that we're consulting. Receiving the information in a way, right, with somebody that's versed at, let's say, speaking Spanish or speaking Italian, right? Learning how to speak to the person in a language that we both can understand. How can we understand the things about our higher self? Where we're supposed to go? If this thing is good or not? If that's the right person? If this is the right thing? Is it the right time? We consult the path. We consult the plan. So when we understand that and we look at the verse, right? When we substitute some of the meanings, right? So Ifa declares that it's early in the morning that one greets their destiny. One greets their Ifa. One consults the plan. Ifa declares that it is early in the morning that one consults the plan. That's when we do O'Shea, right? We get up in the morning, even if on O'Shea's or any of these other times where we cast Ifa, we typically do it early in the day. But we've already greeted Ifa. We've already greeted our destiny. We've already talked to our Ori. In one way, it's helping us to be structured and organized. What's the first thing you do? Consult the plan. It reminds me of Pinky and the Brain. Pinky would always ask Brain, what we're going to do today? And what would he say? What was his response be? Anyone?
Take over the world.
Take over the world. So our chorus that not only did they tie on E-Day beads, but they adorn themselves with brass ornaments. We can see that it is several Orisha that this Ifa is talking about. It's about consulting one's destiny and bringing one opportunity. So it's clear, right? Ifa declares that it's early in the morning, right? So we understand it's talking about, we understand it's Ifa in the first line. What Orisha would be in the second line? What Orisha is associated with brass? Anyone?
Oshun.
Ashe, Ore, Yeo. Right? So consulting one's destiny, Oshun brings opportunities. Oshun brings opportunities. So it's in the Ifa room that we will find Jabutu. The question is asked, Aruma asked if Jabutu takes care of the Ifa room or not. He responded that Jabutu takes care of the Ifa room. So that means that the big blessing, right? That's Jabutu. The big blessing, right? We can see it at the end of the verse. Jabutu ire, big, round, the blessing. The blessing is found in the Ifa room. If Jabutu is in the Ifa room, then the baby is also there as well. The things that we give birth to, the business that we start, the things that we make, the idea that we give birth to, the person that we inspire. How does that start, right? If you start there, you will help somebody else get there as well. If you start from this elevated place, you start with this focus, you start with this discipline, you start with gratitude and humility, right? Because we know we do bale akunle to our Ifa, right, as well. We give praise to our Ori. We brush our teeth so that our words, right? It's an egbe thing. I keep shaking, but brushing one's teeth is an egbe thing so that one's words are sweet. Early in the morning. If I continue to reiterate the same message, we can see some other energies in the way that the verse is laid out. It's in triplicate. Could we be invoking Eshu? Is the Iami support invoked as well? It continues as Ifa declares that it is early in the morning that one ties Ide beads. Our chorus that one adorns brass ornaments too. Arumla asked if Jabutu takes care of Ifa room or not. He responded that Jabutu took care of the Ifa room, right? Was there. The blessing was there. The big thing that's waiting was there. He responded that Jabutu took care of the Ifa room. Arumla declared that if Jabutu takes care of the Ifa room, she will be blessed with the living substance on her back. So we say, well, yeah, if we don't want a rock or a log or something that's inanimate, right, tied to us. A whole different way to look at it. Right? It's a whole nother way to look at it. Who wants to be tied to dead weight? Who wants to kind of give birth to something that has no life of its own? Who wants to be bound to something that doesn't grow? In another way, Ifa tells us that when we meet with Ifa and we meet with our destiny, we meet with the Orisha, we meet with the Arumale, and we're doing it with humility and reverence and respect, and we're doing it with discipline and structure. We're persevering, the big blessing awaits. So we can see the transition in this verse, right? From conception, conceiving the idea, right? That's one stage. The conception of the idea and the growth and nurturing that it takes at that stage, right? And the successful completion of that. So then the type of energy that we put into the thing changes. It evolves. Different type of growth. What stages, in what ways have we done that with other things in our lives, right? A lot of us have children, so we understand that. Women more so than men. Projects, jobs. We can see it. When you start a new job, you the baby that's being nurtured inside the womb. When you've learned your task or your goal, right? You become a more useful asset. There's some level of participation or action on your part. Learning the thing versus implementing what you learned. For the third time, Ifa reiterates. Ifa declares that it is early in the morning that one ties Idebi. Of course, that one adorns themselves with brass beads too. Aroma asked if Jibutu takes care of the Ifa room. I responded that Jibutu took care of the Ifa room. Aroma declared that if Jibutu took care of the Ifa room, she would be blessed with someone to help her carry her loads. Anybody ever had a business that wasn't paying or wasn't paying a lot? You work for someone, right? Learned a skill, a trade, and in that stage, right, you form the idea. Oh, I'm gonna go do this. You devised the plan. You gave birth to the plan. You hatched the plan. Right? It went from a stage of not being visible to being visible. Still requiring some nurturing. Still requiring some care. Ifa is going to assist you with the information that it gives you. How to follow the plan. Till we finally give birth to it. When we give birth to it, now it grows. It's able to support itself. So I talked about it the other day, right? The different stages of Omwawo. Right? When you first came into Ifa, you was being nurtured and cared for, groomed. After you saw what you needed to see or experience what you needed to experience, you did Isefa, Itefa. More and more was put on your plate. More and more is put on your plate because now you reach the stage where you can help carry the load. It's like that with everything, right? So when we got into the verse, we talked about one's spiritual responsibility for oneself, one's care for oneself, and being able to move through these stages. There's all kinds of support in this Oduifa, Iyami, Eshu, Obatala, all the Orisha are present, even if they're not that active or in the forefront. We can see that the opportunities will come with Oshun. It's talking about the brass ornaments. It's invoking that energy. We can see it's talking about Ifa or Davies. It's talking about the covenant made with Ifa. It talks about the type of outcome that we will have based on our actions, right? Keeping the covenant, keeping the agreement. Jibutu. the blessing will be big. We can think of it, right? We can imagine it. We can see it, especially for you ladies with children. Men too, because we've seen it. This is where we came from. How those blessings grew. How even inside our own homes, right? We can see this with our children. We can remember in our own lives how we move through certain stages. Whether it's as a young child, to a teenager, to a young adult, to a mature adult, even in those stages, right? If I ask us to look at these stages and understand about transformation and transition, how are we evolving? Are we sticking to traditional values? Are we learning the right things? What type of information are we receiving? Are we giving in to distraction? Ultimately, right, if you go to your Ifa room, it's something that only you know. If you go perpetuate your Ifa, you know. You and Ifa knows. Your destiny knows. So it's not really something that someone can hold you accountable to, right? Just yourself. There is no oversight. Ifa is telling us, though, if we can keep with the plan, we can keep with the schedule, right? What is the thing that moves closer to us? The blessing. What is the thing that we are putting energy into? Our blessing. By its repetitive nature, right? It says we should do it over and over and over again. We should continue to do it. So if it's by sheer will, right? Right, we pray for children. Even after they're born, we continue to pray. Even into adulthood, we continue to pray. We ask for peace and blessings for our children. Those blessings we created. Those things we've grown, we've poured energy into. It's the same with anything. That's an easy way to put it, though, right? It's something that we can pretty much all relate to. Let us continue. I think this is a Luo. Give me 1 second. So we're gonna end this live Aburu. Aboya Boshashay. It's time for the offering, you guys. So